Welcome back to the Equilibrium Report, where we break through the noise and try to find some balance and truth in a world addicted to taking sides. Alrighty, or as I like to call it, you disagree with me, so you must be one of them. We've hit a strange point in American politics where debate isn't about truth anymore. It's about team identity. You bring up a fact, any fact, and instead of engaging with it, people instantly try to figure out which side you're on. Say something critical about Democrats, you must be a Republican. Say something critical about Republicans, you're automatically a liberal snowflake. Say something critical about both, then people just look confused, they don't know how to react or respond, like your brain crashed their two-party software system. It's not about right or wrong anymore, it's about loyalty, emotional, tribal loyalty. You've seen this play out a million times. You mention corruption, incompetence, or hypocrisy from one side, and someone immediately says, well, what about when your side did it? That's called deflection by equivalence, and it's political brain rot. It's a way to avoid accountability by dragging everyone down in the same mud pit. But they often ignore, each side likes to ignore their party's doings, and they like to exaggerate what they aren't really doing, like trying to make it sound like they're doing something good. It's not about truth, it's about comfort, because if everyone is dirty, then no one has to wash their hands. This kind of logic kills honest debate. We're not discussing issues anymore, we're defending brands. The reason this happens is simple. People have tied their personal identity to their political affiliations. They don't just vote for a party, they belong to it. And that's dangerous because when your beliefs are fused with your sense of self, any criticism feels like a personal attack. Social media makes it worse. Every algorithm rewards outrage and division, not nuance, so instead of conversations, we get performances. Each side talking to their audience, not to each other. Here's the reality. Most Americans aren't far left or far right. They're somewhere in the middle, trying to live, work, and think without pledging allegiance to a political cult. But the loudest voices online make it seem like you have to choose a uniform before you're allowed to speak. That's how we lose balance. That's how we stop thinking critically, because if truth becomes partisan, no one can tell the truth anymore. The next time someone tries to put you in a box, left, right, blue, red, remember, those labels are meant to control the conversation, not clarify it. Real balance comes from being willing to call out your own side when it's wrong, and the other side when it's right. Because truth doesn't wear a party badge. It just waits patiently for someone brave enough to say it out loud. This is the Equilibrium Report, where we're not here to pick a side, we're here to restore balance and truth. Some quick info supporting why we need a real third-party system. In recent polls, independents or no party affiliation make up the largest single group of U.S. adults identifying politically. In 2023, Gallup found 43% of adults identified as independent, while 27% identified as Democrats and 27% Republican. Among registered voters, Pew Research found roughly 33% identify as Democrats, 32% Republican, 35% independent or unaffiliated. So, to see actual behavior, here's what the 2024 data suggests. Independents. In 2024's exit polling, they accounted for 34% of the vote, tied with Republicans, the first time independents surpassed one of the two parties in share. Among the general vote totals, Trump got 50% of total vote. Harris got 48%. About 2% went to third-party/independent candidates, which usually get swept under the rug. Turnout. Of registered voters, about 59% reported voting in the 2024 presidential election, meaning 41% of registered voters did not cast a ballot. And this really upset a lot of people on the left, and they like to blame those people for losing. And sure, I guess technically, yeah, if you just forced someone to have to pick one of the two sides, it could have gone that way. It could have also gone the other way. So that's a null argument, really, honestly. They just don't have accountability and can't be honest with themselves that they botched the last election. I personally think and say it was done deliberately, but you can't argue that it was botched. They boofed it big time. If you think otherwise, you're just a brainwashed cultist, or you're just extremely low IQ. Either way, there's no discussing or anything or debating anything with people like that, because they're just sucked in, brainwashed, not working upstairs. If they can at least come to reality or with that fact, that the left botched that whole thing. Like the moment Biden won 2020, if they wanted Kamala for 2024, they should have been promoting her from day one the whole time. But they didn't. What'd they do? Oh, they pushed Joe Biden in again, knowing that he was barely capable when he got in the first time and shouldn't do a second one. Like, I was smart enough to know that. The left should have been immediately pushing whoever they wanted that during that time. And then especially during the campaign, but nope, they kept going with Joe until the very last minute. And then they're like, oh, he is too incapable. Here's this lady, you know. And yeah, they boofed that big time. Deliberately or not, I don't know, but if not, then there's not anyone smart running in that party, running anything in that party. So yeah, I don't want people like that representing me, because they hardly represent. Each side can have things, a couple things, right? But mostly they're serving the elites and not serving the people. Each side is brainwashed, so they can't see that. Or they can, but they don't want to acknowledge it. They just want to acknowledge the other side's same doings, basically. So, you know, the left likes to blame the voters or non-voters, or they can't make up their mind. It's also the election was rigged, and so whatever fault, they can't admit that they boofed that election. They completely, utterly failed. So, yeah, moving on. So yeah, and seeing how, you know, if we have that huge, you know, basically a third, there's a third of the population for each party, left, right, independent, or whatever you want to call it, right? I call it that one, you know? I call it the read between the lines party, okay? Keep it real party, all right? So that's what we need. Both sides have failed for decades. They purposely do this and keep a third party out. And people try to argue, oh, well, the third party will make things worse. No, things are pretty bad. We need people that actually represent the people. And sure, a third party could just be another form of that, another form of the same corrupt two-party. We could have a corrupt three-party system, because it's all ran by money and whatnot anyway, which, you know, all these things need to be resolved for any of this to actually matter. If you want a two-party system, then, I mean, I guess you need to fix all the other problems. You know, everyone knows there's the corruption and greed, but they want to pick and choose what the problem is and what's not the problem, and ignore this one and jump on that one and exaggerate this one and that one, and my side is that, but your side is this. And so we at least need a third one to come in there and shake it up. You know, at least a third party can come in, right, and go with one side or the other with certain issues, you know, on certain things. It could be the, instead of this standstill that we're in right now, where, oh, we need the two parties to work together to get the extra votes. It's like, no, we got this guy coming in, and he's going to do this one. You know what I mean? It'll be that simple. Or he's going to go that way. You know, they're going to go that way. It's that simple. All these problems, there's so many ways to solve the problems that we have. But people are so dumb and they don't like to think for themselves. They want to put these other dumb people in charge of them because people don't want any accountability or responsibility. They want to have blame. And they'll accept suffering in their life just so they can say it wasn't their fault. And at least say, hey, this is someone else's fault that we're all pouring in this death camp now. It wasn't my fault, it was their fault. You know? And people are going to be saying that shit while they're being dragged to a literal freaking death camp. Labor camp, or whatever it's going to end up being. Wow. Like, even with everything going on, I don't know how anyone can support either of these parties right now. So, we need a third party. This has been the Equilibrium Report. Thanks for watching.
You are watching the Equilibrium Report. Stay free, stay true, stay defiant.